There you go. Should work now.
Okay. Right. So you can see my full screen, the full slide there now.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So let's start. Now to change the slide, normal enter. I press enter, nothing happens.
There should be an arrow.
Arrow down.
Yeah.
Arrow. No, also nothing happens.
Arrow to the right or left.
It just makes a beep. What is going on? Maybe I'm switch off this record. I think it might be creating a problem. Oh, wait, there it is. All right. So what slide do you see now?
Black.
Black. It's just dark.
Just black. Okay. So this was the condition of the universe before the invention of light, pre-light days. And then there was the call for light, and then there's light. Is that is the light there?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Showing.
All right.
Well, it shows like a moon.
Sorry?
Yes, it's there. Don't worry. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the natural history of light and what it is. It's electromagnetic radiation, and there's many different types. And you'll always hear the talking about it as a broad spectrum, and it varies from the invisible to the visible and then moves invisible again. The visible section is a small section in the middle. We normally think of that as light, but it's all light. And what it is in physics terms, and I'll show you a diagram now, it's two fields that oscillate and move together at 90 degrees, and they're moving at the speed of light. So that's just a representation of it. So the horizontal one is the magnetic field, and the electric field is the vertical one. You can see the distance between the tops of the waves or the crests, and that's the wavelength. So in general, short wavelength is the kind of more ionizing ones. That's on kind of this side, on the right-hand side of the types. So generally we start described from this side, from the left to right, in this case. So just give you an idea, gamma rays, which is a remedy available, but can't find it much rubrics, very few rubrics on it. And these are the most dangerous forms of radiation, the most destructive. So used in medicine for killing cancer cells, but also used in atomic bombs. Now moving to X-rays, the wavelength is gradually increasing, but these are still all invisible. Ultraviolet, also invisible, but it is absorbed by the skin and absorbed by the eyes. There are non-visual receptors in the eyes which pick up ultraviolet. Then we have our visible spectrum starting from the kind of the violets, moving to the blues and greens and the yellows and the dark reds. The wavelengths increasing all the way along. Infrared, we can't see, but again, it does interact with our biology. We have infrared receptors in our eyes and perhaps on our skin as well. Getting to the longer waves are microwaves and carrying on into radio. And cell phones are somewhere in this part of it as well. Wi-Fi is, I think, over here. So just another look at the spectrum. Now, this one is working from the short wavelengths. It's a fraction of a nanometer, the gamma ray, to the X-rays again, ultraviolet, the visible spectrum, infrared, microwave, and radio. So important thing to realize is that radio waves are a form of light, and microwave radiation is light. X-rays are a form of light, gamma rays, and so forth. So let's look at what light therapies have been used in medicine and health. So I'll go through a few and then just show some photos. So heliotherapy came up probably, from the time of the ancient Greek, but sort of revived by Florence Nightingale. And a lot of the hospitals were designed with outside stoops and porches that were open, and in the daytime the patients were wheeled out there with their beds. We'll see some pictures of photobiomodulation. This is specifically using red and near infrared lights. These are lights of a specific wavelength, whereas sunlight, of course, is a very broad spectrum. It's a full visible spectrum plus infrared on the one side and ultraviolet on the other. So there's other color light therapies using other colors, chromotherapies. Laser light is used. UV light is used. And we've got something called photodynamic and photothermal, and they're ways more of potentizing different forms of immunotherapy and chemotherapy treatment of tumors. Yeah, let's get the next one. What's happening? Okay, so here's a picture of a sanatorium near Stuttgart in 1928. You see the beds outside. And this is the influenza 1918 pandemic. And the patients are in an open-air hospital. So people knew about these things quite a while back. And this is an example of ultraviolet therapy, often used for skin issues. Obviously, small kids, neonates used for combating neonatal jaundice. So let's look at what light remedies we supposedly have, although we don't really have necessarily good provings or many rubrics for all of them. So we've got the alpha, beta, and gamma radiations. We've got X-ray. There's quite a serious proving on that. Ultraviolet light, not too much. So these are the shortwave group, which are generally the ionizing radiation. Ultraviolet is sort of semi-ionizing. Humans have got ways of dealing with that. And then the visible spectrums and the sunlight. So what is called spectrum, I didn't find much about it. Then a couple of sunlights, Australian, African, the light of an eclipse. Again, I didn't find too much on it. And Sol Britannic is the one that most of the provings we have are about. We've got lunar. And then sunlight colors taken from prisms. We've got laser, LED, CFL light, halogen, and perhaps other colors as well. And then we've got the long wave. This is on the other side of the visible spectrum. So there's different types of microwave, different frequency microwaves. We've got some different frequency of mobile phones. And then we've got mobile phone masts and TV radiation. Of these, I've found a bit on microwave. I think mobile phone is available, but it's not, didn't come up on SHS for me. So let's look at how light and biology work together. So all life on Earth is dependent on sunlight. Nothing, we couldn't be here without it. And animals have various requirements. Zooplankton, I think, can photosynthesize to an extent. And some nocturnal mammals need very little sunlight. They can generate their own internal sunlight, actually from big melanin deposits in their body. And UV light components has considered to have made an important part of evolution or the creation of life by the effect it has, or it can have on creating simple organic chemicals. And the human body is full of light receptors, skin, eyes, nervous tissue, what we can call the neuroectoderm. And eyes have visual receptors for the whole visible spectrum and non-visual receptors for infrared and ultraviolet light as well. Just an aside, so blind people, provided they don't wear sunglasses, so the UV light can enter their eyes, they may see nothing, but their UV receptors, their non-visual receptors, are still working, and they can thus entrain and set their circadian rhythm clocks. It's in the part of the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN. That is the main central clock for setting metabolic and hormonal processes in the body. So they activate all the master hormonal systems in the body through this SCN, the hypothalamus, which feeds down into the pituitary gland, and a separate line is the melatonin receptor via the pineal gland. So what I learned about here, and I first heard them speaking about, and I couldn't figure out what it was. They're talking about POMC the whole time, this, which is a pro-hormone, and it's a very long protein, which is activated and set up by the effect of UV radiation on the skin and through the eyes. So the POMC stands for pro-opiomelanocortin, and it's split up and it makes up a whole range of different hormones and different effects. Without reading all this stuff over here, UV touches the brain and the central neuroendocrine system to reset body homeostasis. And this is from an article, Therapeutic Applications of UV Radiation in the Management of Autoimmune Mood Disorders, Addiction, and Obesity. So let's look at the different parts of POMC, starting with the opioid parts, opioid effects. And so you can just see over here, beta endorphins, enkephalins, is a whole range formed, and obviously we need these. And some people think that because they produce when we get in the sun, that's why we feel so good when we spend a day at the beach. There's obviously other factors as well, but in a way, the beach can become addictive. You get the opioid stimulation. So the second part of pro-opio POMC is the melanocyte, and this is melanin stimulating hormone via the melanocytes, melanin itself. And the main role of these hormones is in the regulation of metabolic function. So we're thinking about the whole metabolism, the glucose metabolism, etc. And then some metabolic effects from the melanocortin side of the pro-hormone. Insulin interacts with POMC and what are called agouti proteins in the hypothalamus, regulates glucan, and very importantly, leptin, which is the appetite hormone. And part of the cortin side is the synthesis of adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH, which we, of course, know for management of inflammation and glucose regulation. And then there's further interactions with POMC and thyroid hormones. And I'll just show you some diagrams of this. So it starts with sun to the melanopsin to the SCN, pineal gland, melatonin. And it either makes, this one doesn't quite explain it as well. Let me jump onto the next one, just show you the POMC link. But what you can see is that Yeah, there's LD for long day and ST for short day. Let's look at this one over here. Is this one clear to everyone? So what's happening is we're getting, let me just move this away here. Yeah, you can see there's two sides, a long day photoperiod and a short day on the right. But basically, thyroid stimulating hormone on the long day photoperiod goes to the T3, and this interacts with the thyroid and POMC, and POMC then is stimulated, and its metabolic, its kind of pro-metabolic regulation comes into place. So on the short day photoperiod, we're going to get low T3, the T4 goes to T2, so the POMC is not activated, and so there's slow metabolism and weight gain on a short day. So just a point over here that if we're not getting into outside, into sunlight, not getting UV radiation into the eyes on the skin, then we are creating our own short day photoperiod, and we're slowing metabolism and promoting weight gain. What's going on? So it seems to jam now for some reason. Or is it? Okay, there we are. And looking more at the leptin pathways and insulin pathways, I don't clear how clear this is, but I can give these notes out later. So there's talk to the liver, glucose metabolism, talk to the liver on glucose uptake and insulin sensitivity. This is all via POMC, the agouti proteins working through the hypothalamus. And there's lipid metabolism is affected by leptin created by what is called a white adipose tissue, affecting lipid metabolism, and insulin sensitivity from the pancreas also speaks through to these parts. Okay, so let's look at what might happen. Just so far, how's that been? Is this sort of okay? Just say yes or no. I know I'm covering a lot. I'm going very quickly, but I'm not. I think it's something that one can look at a later stage. So, looking at what the whole issue of sunlight, darkness, and artificial light, the lack of sunlight, UVB and infrared, as well as the visual parts, will lead to disrupted circadian rhythm. It'll have effects on overall health and chronic diseases. We can see that. And on the melanocortin pathways, problems with blood glucose regulation, metabolic syndrome, eating disorders, diabetes, obesity, systemic inflammation. The melatonin pathways, sleep disorders, also inflammation, mitochondrial problems. The thyroid problems, pathways, very much the metabolic thyroid disease. And opioid pathways, very interesting, mental diseases and addictions. So you can see how serious or important it is to have sun exposure. And all pathways, degenerative disease, some idea of dementias, autoimmune diseases as well. So let's look at blight and chronic disease from a homeopathic perspective. So the Organon aphorism 77 gives examples of lifestyle chronic diseases from his time. So people who continually expose themselves to avoidable malign forces, e.g. like in our days, artificial toxic blue light. This is screens, tech screens. Bad in the day, but especially bad after sunlight. It's like processed light. We're not meant to take it in. We cannot process it, and it disrupts many other things in our body, the POMC, the melatonin, and so forth. Non-native electromagnetic forces or lights, Wi-Fi, 5G, etc. And also he talks about people who undergo prolonged deprivation of things necessary for life. So we really have to say, now that we've kind of moved inside, we no longer live outside, that we are depriving ourselves of sunlight, full spectrum, including ultraviolet B radiation on the skin and via the eyes. And via the eyes means without glasses, and in particular without dark glasses, which block the UV. And the other thing we need is as much darkness as possible after sunset, or at least no more blue light after sunset. So let's get their lifestyle advice for circadian health. The first thing is to bookend the day, try and see a sunrise, or the light, be out in the light around sunset. Get skin in the game, do it carefully, develop a solar callus, protective tan, and do it according to your skin type. The darker skin you have, the more sun you need. The lighter skin, the less. But we all need sunlight. The eyes have big receptors, non-visual receptors. They produce melanopsin from that, and the light is actually transmitted via the optic nerve into the SCN. So, and it's feeding melanin inside the brain, from what I understand, in the substantia nigra, the dark black parts in the middle of the brain, which are great light receptors and also light generators. So next thing, protect eyes from toxic blue light. So I'm wearing protective glasses at the moment. They shield out the blue side of the spectrum, the ultraviolet. So I wouldn't wear them outside, but these are for inside at night or when I'm looking at a computer screen. And be in the sunlight in the open air as much as possible. So there is a large research on, in Britain, the all-cause mortality declines with the more time people are outside in the open air or in sunlight. And the dermatologists of course, don't want to look at this. They think it's a terrible, what do we call it? Anathema. So outside as much in the open air as possible, within reason. Now, here's kind of a rather controversial thing, is to avoid hormonal supplementation like vitamin D3 and melatonin. When you take supplemental vitamin D3, you can block many of these pathways or downregulate the POMC pathways or the pathways that relate to the harvesting of ultraviolet radiation in the skin. It's much better to make your own. And the way to make your own is to get skin in the game and avoid the toxic blue light. Just in terms of vitamin D3, the big population studies find that people who have high vitamin D3 are healthier. But when vitamin D3 is supplemented, it seems to make no difference at all. So the understanding now is that vitamin D3 is a marker for sun exposure, and it's actually the ultraviolet B radiation that is leading to the improvement of health. And vitamin B is it's not a bad thing, but it's not the main thing. do electrical grounding. You can get rare emission globes for your houses after sunset, so that these globes don't produce the blue light, which we shouldn't be seeing after sunset. Use blue-green blocker glasses. Don't eat too long after sunset. Sleep at a reasonable time in dark room. Wake up around sunrise, get outside. You might not see the sunrise. From my house, I can't see it. There's a big signal hill in the way, but the light outside is very interesting because that low light is very high in infrared, and being exposed to that infrared light prepares us for exposure to ultraviolet later in the day. In general, in the middle of the day, the thing to do is when it's really hot and sunny and baking, and you're not protected, you're not covered up with clothes, is to do as the lions and the mammals do in the game reserve, go and lie under a tree, because you get nice infrared light coming through the leaves then. Okay, yeah, so also to form your own vitamin D on your skin, you can't use sun creams on the skin because they, of course, they block the UVB radiation. And one should have much better effects if one needs to do metabolic health issues. You can now nest into this circadian health regime, a low-carb, natural fat, carnivore, whatever kind of diet you want that is going to, result in better metabolic function. Okay, so let's look at the light remedies and where they're placed in our materia medica. Anna Favaka puts it second dimension, emptiness. So the light remedies, so it's not the light remedy she's placed, it's imponderabilia. So second dimension, emptiness. It's in the other column with gemstones, waters, etc. And she placed in row 6. Jonathan Hardy puts imponderabilia as overlapping lanthanides, gases, and radioactive. Radioactive is interesting because it's got that whole also producing radiation, which is, of course, a form of light. Some themes from imponderabilia, these are taken from Rajan Sankaran from a while back. I'm not going to go through them all because it's not really our focus, but light is going to have these things. It's present anywhere, anytime, spreading the same pass-through matter, beyond matter. So Jonathan Hardy talks about people who need imponderable remedies. Talks them a strong dynamic. Patients talk of energy and power. And they can talk about universe, infinity, enormous distances, periods of time, energy, but not material. So let's look at some light remedy themes. So I read a couple of the light remedies which are proven, and I just saw what is common. Some of these themes will be parts of the imponderabilia as well. So disconnection is mentioned as an imponderabilia theme as well. So connections, disconnected. Sorry? I can't hear you.
Just to see those resumes of John Hardy, they were just so interesting.
So just repeat.
Could we go back
Oh,
to look at those 2 pages of Sankaran and Hardy's words? They were just so interesting. I would just love to quickly read that through. Can we?
okay, sure. So there's Sankaran's notes. I can put, send this out as a PDF, but
No, it's fine. I just wanted just a few more minutes to get through it.
Sure. Okay. Have a bit of a look. Yeah, unbounded, not affected by time. You can't hold it. It's quite an interesting thing. He says it's not matter, but something can affect matter. So heat, light, magnetism has effects, but it's not matter in itself. And he's got the feeling that, I suppose, these kind of remedies, they start to edge on to the periodic table of matter when we think of positronium and the formation of hydrogen. So hydrogen sort of and positronium, they're on the edge of imponderabilia and, well, hydrogen's hardly solid, but kind of solid remedies. Shall I move on to the next page?
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, no
It was
problem.
just-
No problem. No, please.
It's so great.
Yeah, yeah. So this I found on Jonathan Hardy. He did a seminar on imponderables a little while back, and this was part of the blurb advertising it, just giving an idea of what. So talk of energy and power. They don't want to dominate. So, and humanitarians, that's, you can see where he gets the idea of lanthanides, the similarity of imponderables. Talking about big stuff, universal stuff, and also the feeling of energy of being non-material. But it creates problems for them because there's a lack of bound feeling of having no body or no existence. So they can often, I think, talk a lot and be very kind of vivacious and dynamic and lively, but there's no substance underneath it, and they are aware of that. Yeah, so he says it can be large and extremely extroverted. Imagine saying, I'm the most powerful person on earth, or I'm swallowing the universe. Okay. Right, let's move on to the light remedy themes. So there'll be, I'm not sure how many I've got. Yeah, so got that connections, disconnections. What I did at this early stage, I looked at those 4 or 5 remedies where there are some rubrics or decent provings, fair amount of rubrics, and just saw what themes were coming up, but in at least 2, sometimes 3. Depression comes up a lot, especially in Sol and Luna. And the depression is often connected to the connection broken. And that's particularly in the case of Luna. Transitions, transformations. So it can often be a remedy for major life transitions, birth, death, etc. What else do you get? A polarity comes up quite a bit, and I'm going to draw some of these themes back to the natural history as we proceed with this. Sol, red light, stagnation and flow, energy drain. I can't remember what remedies that was. In some organ systems, we see congestion and compressions, anger, frustration. Obviously, sleeplessness and insomnia is very big, and we'll be thinking now to that melatonin pathway, which needs a lot of sun in the day and a lot of dark, or when you talk about dark, no blue light at night in order to develop really strong melatonin. Some of the organs, blood comes up in blue and red, deoxygenated in blue, and as a blood purifier in red, and liver congestion. So there seems to be 2 of the organs that come up. So let's look at the links to the natural history, that transformation, transitions and transformation theme. So what we see is that these fields are oscillating. They're changing all the time. The electric field, the yellow one, moves up and down, and the blue one, the magnetic field, moves horizontally, left to right, around the axis. So there's a constant process of change. And then we've got the idea of disconnection and connection, and which has got depression. So the circadian experience needs, as I said before, it needs the sunlight in the day and an avoidance of blue light at night. And light, by its nature and imponderable, it's not solid, can be easily blocked and switched off. So the circadian experience is the sun rising, the sun setting. It's switched on and it's switched off. There's also seasonal variation in light. So in the northern high latitudes, low sunlight, people get seasonal affective disorder, and lunar experiences depression due to disconnection. It may be if it fits or is an intercurrent, a good thing for these type of conditions. So, and part of the pro-hormone POMC is the opioid component. And so without, there's UVB stimulation, low endorphins, low feeling of well-being, depression. Polarity came up as well in the light remedies. And this is just a diagram showing that sunlight is polarized by the atmosphere. So as it comes in on the left, it's got in both axes, but the sun draws it scatters it to one axis only. And flow and stagnation, going back to the waveform of an electromagnetic wave, we see on the top here, there's got a propagation. In other words, it forms and it moves, it flows. It flows in a direction. So now we've come to a point where I think we could do any questions on so far, but I would like Natalia to present. She's got a light remedy she would like to present. I haven't got my Zoom screen. Let's see the chat. What about sun cream? Yeah. Okay. Sun cream's a no-no. The only sun cream to use is a barrier cream for like zinc oxide. They're toxic. And I'll send the PDF. Okay, I'll do the other things. Right. Okay. Any other questions or? If Natalia, would you like to do your case study? Well, I must stop this share, I believe. Would you like to do this? Natalia, are you there? Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm not sure about Natalia.
Natalia's, she's not responding. Let me, what's happening? I'll just put it in the chat. Natalia.
Natalia, I don't know if your signal is bad because you're breaking up and we can hear bits and pieces of you.
The odd syllable, not even a full word.
Helen, your signal's also bad. I don't know if it's the area you're in.
Hi, I phoned Natalia now. She's having problems with her internet. I told her we were waiting for her.
Okay. If we'd like, I can go back and do some of the other stuff and see if it improves then. Should we do that, Natalia?
While I'm on, can I say something?
Sure.
I've used Sol on a very, how can I say, physical level.
Yes.
But I've used it for sunstroke, and it's worked amazingly.
No, I think it's well known for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me at all.
Now good.
Now, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Great.
Yes, we can hear you, Natalia.
my back. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Nothing seems to be working. Okay. So this is a case of Sol. It's a 57-year-old man who lives in the United Kingdom, and I saw him during COVID time, August 2020. So he had fallen, he'd slipped outside his on the patio and had a high impact multifracture of the humerus. And so he called me. At that time, he said the pain was indescribable. He'd been to see the orthopedic surgeons and the physios. And he had a fractured right humerus that was shattered and associated with radial nerve injury. So when I saw him, he said the pain was slightly better with swimming and yoga, but he had a drop wrist, which was a problem for him because he was a drummer. That was his work. He was a professional drummer. So he suffered from nerve pain and very sensitive skin. He said, it's like my nerves and my muscles are fighting. So he was really having what he said was a monumental struggle with my work. So there are some of your words coming in, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then he says that you're told not to do strong weight bearing. I've taken that guidance seriously.
Natalia, your audio's gone bad again. We're not hearing anything at all. No, we've just got the first slide.
Not here.
Can you not hear me? Let me just try and move.
Now we can hear you.
I'm going to try. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just moving. Okay, just give me a minute. And I'll try something. So he said when he's playing the drums, he gets the biggest natural high and he loves helping people. So he's a practicing Buddhist, and helping people in his Buddhist practice is, very, very important. So that's the humanitarian aspect coming. So I asked him how he feels, and he said he's extremely restless, powerless, and he says he feels disconnected, which is another one of your words there. I mean, almost from the beginning, he was just giving imponderable words and words of soul. So he said he feels disconnected from the universal life power. And then quite spontaneously and disconnected from whatever he was saying before, he says, I don't like winter. Winter is dark and cold. And he says, sorry, there's a typo here. We're going in the wrong direction. And soul has a thing about going about looking for direction and direction in life. He says, we're going in the wrong direction in winter. We're going further from the sun. He describes himself, I'm indestructible. This is like how he copes, how he's coping with his broken arm. My spirit is stronger. So I think he meant his spirit is indestructible. His right arm was, he said, is frozen with shooting pains. And then spontaneously again, he says, I'm a positive, joyful person, and I've been so for the past 30 years. My bones were crushed and shattered, but I'm back. I haven't stopped. I've had a massive surge of power, and I'm ready to be unleashed. So that's how he described his drumming, with this massive surge of power, unleashing. He is a powerful drummer, but the way he describes it, you know. And then he says, again, spontaneously, I need limitless power, which is speaking exactly to soul, limitless power and energy to be a drummer. So some other words that came up: monumental, my muscles are fighting, my nerves are fighting, my muscles are fighting my nerves. I have low self-esteem, and he does a lot of meditation. He's got a previous history of heroin addiction. And from that, he's got quite low self-esteem around his weight and his and when he was in hospital, I mean, this is why he called me, in fact. He didn't really want to take their painkillers in case it set off another opioid addiction or heroin addiction. So he was really, really in trouble. He was refusing to take any painkillers. He was suffering with pain. And then he was very worried that he couldn't play the drums, and he had to play the drums, you know, to earn money. So I gave him 1 dose of soul. And in the follow-up, he said, I've had a powerful healing. So there's powerful again. The nerve conduction tests were good. He said, I'm not on full power yet. He actually sent me a copy of the orthopedic surgeon's report, and they were quite surprised that he had healed so quickly. He said, I haven't had any dreams, but my memory's getting better. I have phenomenal power in me, unstoppability, that now that there is no pain. Before I felt crushed and vulnerable, and now I feel more grounded. So that's a little soul case. He did extremely well. His arm healed amazingly well, and he went on tour, I think 3 months following this. And he required 1 more dose of soul, and then he went on to actually have Brachythecium smithi, which was a tarantula. It's, you know, it's a big tarantula spider. And that he called me because he was having old problems resurface around sexual performance. But the soul was very important. And one of the things I sort of noticed during COVID time was a lot of people were just having these weird fractures, breaking their ankles, breaking the femur, breaking their arms, and, you know, sitting at home during lockdown. So that's my case of soul. The other thing that I also noticed in soul, in lunar. So lunar, Ben, is reflective light. That moonlight, it's reflection
moonlight from the sun. Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, it's not a sort of light source. So if we look at soul, so I gave him Soul Britannica.
Yeah.
Because he was English.
Yeah.
And I have had a soul case in South Africa, which I'll talk about just now. But who I gave Sol Africana to, but he had Sol Britannica. And if I'm not mistaken, it did have something around fractures, either in the proving or oh, so there's pain as if broken, yeah? Pain as if upper limbs are broken. Pain as if it wasn't his forearm, it was his humerus. Pain as if frozen, which all of these pains he had. And then weakness he also experienced. So that was the case of Sol. I had another case. She was a medical student who came after, I think she'd had about 4 or 5 consecutive courses of antibiotics and the worst tonsils that I've seen. There wasn't much in the case because she really didn't want to come and see me. And she didn't want homeopathy because she was a medical student. And with her, it was around really loving being in sunlight and this idea of I've lost my direction in life. She was also, I think, coming to terms with her sexuality, about being gay. And she wanted to be an emergency medicine specialist. And 1 dose of Sol, within 3 days, the tonsils recovered and the chronic fatigue and the tonsillitis went. So that is Sol for you. I think that's all. Sorry, I can't see the fractures here. But yeah. He just went straight into his sensation and spoke about it. It's also a good remedy for sunburn. Yeah. Okay. I'll stop
Thanks, Natalia. That's great. Thanks for
sharing.
Okay. Yeah. So the Sol, let me go back out and try something here. Okay.
Has anyone else had any cases of lights, different colors or?
Yeah. So remember, X-ray is a light as well. I did give, in the Seychelles, I gave microwave. Oh no, I considered giving microwave radiation. In fact, in the end, it was something like plutonium nitricum. So there are these sort of links you could get mixed up with the radioactive remedies, because they're obviously producing light in forms of radiation. But I did have a good look at the possibility of microwave radiation. It's just, do you see my screen of SHS? Oops, am I even talking?
Yeah, got it.
Am I muted or am I talking? Really? Oh, no.
We can hear you and see your
Yeah.
screen.
You hear me? Oh, okay. Let me just get rid of that over here. Okay. Just want to see if Sol has also got a vermeulen. Okay, so a bit about the natural history of the sun. Yeah, so he spoke about that restlessness as well, and kind of decisiveness. Talks about disorientation here, but I do know also about the idea of the soul having an idea of direction. Sunburn we spoke about, and let's see what else. So there's sleeplessness till 3 or 4 a.m. Whereas remedies like blue can wake up at 4 a.m. Yeah. So I don't know if anyone's got any other light remedies, or would they like to look at? Let's see what else we've got. We can look at it here. So X-ray. So this was proven a long time ago by Finker, 1896. But let's look at the sort of summary of it. Vermeulen synoptic. Yeah, also called yeah. Aversion to company is something that also comes up thematically in some other of the light. Desire to kill before and during menses. Stubbornness. So there are rubrics, there are provings, but only for a few of the for a remedy like a pink color, Navon from DUT did his thesis on it. So you can pick up his dissertation and read it up. And I was actually reading through it today. I think it's very well done. Pink has got quite a lot of sexuality, irritation, a bit of aggression in it as well, quite a bit of aggression. Okay.
So Barbara is saying that she's got a few lunar cases she's put in the chat.
Oh, okay. Let's have a lunar. Barbara, do you want to go ahead with the lunar cases? Yeah. Okay. Is the mute blocked for Barbara? She says she can't unmute.
No, I also had that thing where I was trying for ages to unmute.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can unmute Barbara. There's some weird thing going on today.
It is, yeah, because I couldn't get. It was like stuck and just not. We've got imponderable tech.
It's the eclipse going on the other side of the world, and because you're doing imponderables, it's all connected.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I think Barbara has to unmute herself.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something bizarre going on. Oh.
Yeah. But we can't unmute her. I can't see that.
We just can't unmute.
See, okay. What a thing. But Barbara, why don't you shut down your the Zoom meeting and go back in.
While we're waiting for Barbara,
Okay. I've got a few more kind of slides and ideas, but sorry, what did you want to raise?
no, I think you carry on. I just wanted to, yeah, talk about the future,
Okay.
but maybe you carry on first.
Okay. I've just a little bit of tying up. So that was the case studies. Of course, it doesn't work. Wait, there something happens. What's happening now? Application. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So just how we might use light remedies, and although I'm doing this presentation, I've never used a light remedy. I don't think. I'm sure I'll remember. Clinical issues. So metabolic issues are so important. Where you see circadian disruption. So I've had a few patients who get into a kind of a rhythm where they go to sleep at 2, 3 in the morning, and then they wake up at 10 and, or 8 or 9, and I don't know, they're not sleeping at all, and this is really bad. Or not sleeping enough and sleeping at the wrong time and sleeping in the early evening and then waking up again. And yeah, some university students as well get into these strange rhythms. So it could help to reset these things. And there might be other SAR codes that work well with this. We've got melatonin as a SAR code, cortisol, adrenaline. There might be some tie-in with this as well. So obviously insomnia itself and the Sol, Luna, and Blue definitely have insomnias at different times. One could look at that. And then I think in your case, Natalia, he really did speak about a whole lot of imponderabilia language there and specific things to Sol. So it was a kind of a simillimum that you gave, but later on he needed something different. It could be a simillimum type of intercurrent. And perhaps we could use...
I thought it had a lot to do with COVID or something to do with COVID.
Ah, look at that. You're forced to be inside. You're not getting any sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's hanging over tech screens, so you creating, you're damaging whatever little sunlight you can get into you, if any at all. Wow.
And I think it's useful for, definitely doctors and nurses, but mine workers are people doing shift work.
Ah, yes, yeah.
They do have a shorter lifespan, people who do shift work.
Yes.
And night work.
Yeah.
And they are more prone to all sorts of illnesses. I think that I was doing some work with the Wits Sleep Lab, and they were looking at mine workers in Carltonville. And where the circadian rhythm was broken, they had more accidents.
Ah, yeah.
And then there was another sort of factor of mine workers who were HIV infected, because HIV somehow also impacts on the circadian rhythm. And they were getting more accidents and problems than everybody else.
Sure.
So shift work is really not good for you, one.
No, yeah. So they do talk about Miranda Castro's got a bit of a thing about SAD and homeopathy, and they do talk about the disruptive circadian rhythm and aging, and a lot more degenerative diseases earlier on. Yeah. So it's the exact opposite. Spending more time outside in the sun is the recipe for a longer life.
I don't know if I'm muted or not muted. Am
No.
I muted?
No, you're talking.
Oh, okay. Can I just say, speaking about all this COVID and lack of light, I have a patient who I ordered this for, but then he wouldn't take it because he tried it with his pendulum.
I lost you there, Fiona.
The sun isn't good for him, he said. And he would only come to see me if he could come early in the morning before the sun got too hot. And
Oh.
one of his big problems was sensitivity to electromagnetic radiation of any form. And it's in the rubric of radiations.
Mm.
The rubric also answers the sun.
Sure.
I'm wondering whether I didn't have the remedy right, because it wasn't this kind of ID power.
Fiona, you're breaking.
But it was just interesting with you saying, can you hear me?
Can hear you
Yeah.
now. Carry on, yeah.
Okay, just interesting that he has spent most of his life indoors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, kind of modern medicine has made a terrible thing of the sun. You know, that it's you know, stay out of the sun, never tan, never get a protective tan, slap sunscreen on, wear dark glasses all the time, avoid UV radiation like the plague. You know, of course, if you're under UV radiation all the time, you're going to get burnt and you will get DNA problems, you'll get skin cancers. But, you know, anything of a good thing or a necessary thing can kill. You know, if we drink 20 liters of water in an hour, we'll probably die of irreversible hyponatremia. So, but water is essential to life. So no one says water's bad. You've got to take sun, you know, according to where you live, the latitude, and according to your skin type. You know, obviously people from the far north are got red skins and pale skins because they need to be able to absorb UV radiation from their pale sun there. They don't want a lot of melanin. People living in the equator want a lot of melanin because the UV radiation is nice and strong there. Apparently they were talking about the Somali community, equatorial, who live around Chicago in a big way, and they have a lot of disease and problems, which they never had before. Childhood problems, much more autism than the normal community. So it might be more than just vaccinations. It could be that they're just not getting sufficient sun because of their high latitude and their very dark skins. I hope my voice is coming through. Anyone there?
Yeah, we can hear you. We're waiting for Barbara to unmute.
Has she still not come back yet, or what?
She's here. I don't know if she left.
I said she should come in and come out.
Oh, she said it's not working. That's a shame.
Okay, something's wrong over there. Okay, yeah. Yeah, question how to get back into the right rhythm. Circadian rhythm, which remedy? You know, it would depend upon what, you know, in the case It could be it could be a sarcode as well. We need to look at. I don't have much experience yet with melatonin. I don't know much about it, but I'd like to learn a bit more about it. I don't know if anyone else has seen it as a sarcode. But I'd say, okay, and asking about hostages under tunnels, not seeing the sun in months. Well, I'd say Sol, until proven otherwise, would be the first remedy to think about. And Judith has got, I think you can use Sol for any scarring. Okay. Right. Okay. I think from my point of view, unless there's some more questions, we can Natalia, you wanted to talk about issues for the group going forward.
Yeah. No, so just quite exciting. I think in June, Fiona's going to be presenting the provings, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the heliochrysum proving.
Yeah. And so we have, I met this lady, she's a traditional healer, Susie van der Linde, and she came to speak to the Johannesburg Succulent Society on Saturday about healing plants. I mean, they were all interested in the biochemistry of it, and she wanted to talk about what the plants are saying, the aloes, and she said that aloes and Heliochrysum and Artemisia, and she gave another one that she couldn't sort of live without. But she's an Nyanga, she's a trained Nyanga, and so she also agreed to come and tell us from her perspective what these plants are saying to her. I thought that'd be quite interesting. I don't know if you would agree with that, Fiona. Yeah. So I think that'll happen in June.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be Fiona will present, but a couple of us will give our little own inputs. You know, who are involved in the proving as well.
Yeah, it'll be like the other proving. Everybody who was involved, if they can, should give their story. It's yeah. Okay.
Great. So yeah, I had first thought of us doing it for May's, but we're still tying up rubrics, and Fiona's away in May, so June is the right time for us to do the heliochrysum proving presentation. So we, at the moment, I haven't got, I haven't lined up anything for May. I can look around, but if anybody's got any ideas for next month, or anybody would like to present on a topic, or we do a series of cases, or whatever, just perhaps let's chat on the WhatsApp group and brainstorm for any ideas for next month. What else is there? I think we've, unless there's some more cases, I think we've pretty much done. And if anybody's got any questions, queries, clinical difficulties or problems, issues they'd like to talk about. It's just gone past 8 o'clock. Jan, have you got a photo of our attendance?
I do. I'll share it on the group.
Great, thanks very much. Should we call it a day? I think we've been tech challenged. I have been, like, severely. I'm not normally. Really caught me out. Anyway, no further business. Yeah. Right. Well, I'll put the kind of PowerPoint keynote slides sort of in a PDF form, and I'll just stick it on the group. If anyone's got specific questions, then yeah, let's just discuss it further over there that come up. And I would appreciate anybody thinking or, getting light cases coming up. Please do share them with me or on the group, because I think it's a neglected element or component. The imponderabilias in general, but light in particular. And also getting hold of the remedies might be a bit of an issue as well.
Then there's a question on the group from Lauren.
Yes.
How would you know which color to give? Not many provings on them. Blue, green, yellow, etc.
Yeah. Where is it? Okay. Oh, so, yeah. So there is Prometheus has done a blue proving and a red light proving, but green and yellow haven't. I think what we need to do for those is look at perhaps some of Vermeulen's work, or look at how they're used in the kind of, not homeopathic, sort of naturopathic way, and try and draw inferences there that might guide us. And there may be provings around which somehow don't make their way to radar or SHS. Certainly, I'm sort of surprised why pink isn't on there. It should be on there. It's a really good proving, and Navon is proving from Durban. Yeah, so I agree. There isn't a lot on that. I did find blue, red, and so forth. Okay.
Then a few years ago,
Yeah.
I can't remember when it was, maybe 2015, 2016, 17. David Lilly did a whole lot of lectures for Natura, and he did a lot of, he spoke a lot about the color remedies. It was quite interesting. I don't know if anybody's got notes on it, but it was quite comprehensive.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I actually attended those in Durban, and I looked for my notes and I can't find them. Somewhere in the move.
Yeah. I know I also took notes. I need to just look, but yeah, that's the only time I've really been to a comprehensive kind of lecture on the color remedies.
Yeah. No, he definitely. So that would be a great resource if any one of us, please look around and see if you can dig up those David Lilly's lecture on the colors. It was really great. Just like he normally does. And, yeah.
Was he not using them as intercurrents, I think?
He was, but there was a lot of information on how to use them for what they were used, and the way he also does the metaphor, the mythology, and how it related to how the different colors related to various remedies, or how they were similar or different.
Yeah, I went to those lectures too, and that's what I remember. For example, he linked green to magnesium, and I don't remember, I'd need to find my notes too, specifically that he talked about them as color remedies as a color, but I do remember him linking them to the chakras, to the remedies that fall into that spectrum, as it were.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
I remember clearly that that he spoke, the one color I do remember was red, and using red in a low potency for adrenal fatigue, because it was the sacral chakra that was, that's where the kind of pink came in. He described it as going like into a pink color, and then you give a red 15, and then say a red 200 would have been given for somebody who had very high blood pressure, where the red now became like fireman red. So that's how he talked about all of them. So it wasn't really provings about the colors, as Sigrid is saying. It was more about the chakras, the related remedies, and various clinical applications of them as intercurrents.
Yeah. Yeah. So on red, there is quite a bit over here. The Prometheus proving, red light. And so it's quite an extensive proving. Let's see, just it's got relationships of remedies as well there. Okay, yeah, so got ideas of red plus artery plus lacusis. Can't see this over here now. What? Yeah, a red and green complementary. So yeah, I've got sort of trilogies of remedies: red, artery, lacusis, and then for like the liver, red plus lycopodium. So it's obviously red using a sarcode and then lycopodium, and then for the spleen, red, spleen, and cyanotus. Let's just have a look. Yeah. So for meal and source and substance, it does give a bit of stuff on what the colors are about, the symbolism. So this would be a bit of the kind of David Lilly. But let's have a look at here, mind. Yeah. Yin yang aspects of the mind. Okay. So one can get some material on some of the colors, but it's definitely not widespread. Okay.
Fusion Pharmaceutical has all the Ambicovata's colors.
Okay.
And I was looking for them, they're all there.
Okay. Right.
And Joe's saying Natura colors. And
Natura has all of them in varying potencies, as well as fusion.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, and would they have things like X-ray and the different souls and
It's just the colors, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Natura has the X-ray and the soul, and homeopathic tradings have the different souls.
Okay.
And X-ray is a very common remedy, not that hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Can I quickly change the subject before people go away, just in case people haven't seen it?
Yes.
There's that WOW, Synergy's having the WOW conference. That's tomorrow. It's a free one. It's tomorrow and on Thursday, for acute management, and 16 different fabulous speakers. And the recording's only going to be on for 24 hours. So just if people want to sign up, and I know they've also got limited seats, but it looks like you still can. I completely forgot it and then just quickly signed in earlier today.
I agree, Helen. It's a good one, because they're all world-class speakers, and they're speaking on acutes. It's a good one, and it's free, and it's for Homeopathy Day. So just to agree with you.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Helen.
If you just go to, Lauren, you're asking what's the link. If you just went to Synergy Homeopathy and you go onto their website, it's all over it. and then you can just register.
I'll put it on the WhatsApp group as well, Helen, if I can.
Oh, great. Thanks, Joan.
And just to say, I mean, seeing as we're sort of a bit informal now, I'm often thinking, oh, I've got an interesting case and some thoughts about things and would love to get people's input on it. And I don't know if anybody's ever open to having a session where, you know, we can bring some cases and then have a bit more of an informal discussion. For me, I just feel like I struggle to find the time to sit and make a nice, lovely presentation. It's a PowerPoint thing. And if anybody's open to one being a mishmash session of us sharing a few sort of concepts and cases with that, then yeah, I'd be totally up for contributing to that. So yeah, just shout if you feel that you've got a gap somewhere in one of our next step meetings. And
well, no, that's great, Helen, because it could just be next month. We could do that.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say is that I often feel like I learn from each other
Sorry,
as well.
Helen,
So
stop sharing your screen.
Oh, just hold a minute.
Am I sharing my screen?
No, not you, Helen. Ben.
Oh,
There you
go.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Helen, I interrupted you. What would your idea be to do for this informal?
Oh, no, I was saying to not necessarily have a theme, but to have used maybe a couple of cases that were really interesting and to talk about a concept that I'm interested in and also have questions and would love people's input on as well. So I'm going to give one quick example is like I had an amazing MS case and it came and my sort of thing was following, you know, obviously Sholton's whole thing on the periodic table and all, you know, the practice we've done like through Natalia of getting our rows right and our columns right and all of that. But I didn't have the remedy and I didn't have the time to actually get it for her. And so I used one similar one and it just did miracles. And so I just wanted to, like, I thought that was, for instance, an interesting one. And also to have a whole conversation about this whole thing where we sometimes can't quite get the similar, but we're somewhere in the vicinity of it. And some good examples of cases like that, where you almost know you haven't got. So I just thought that was quite a nice, interesting concept, and to see if other people had similar ones, but almost like a spontaneous, you know, group where we're sharing a bit of ideas and inputs, and somebody could start a sort of ball rolling. Yeah, that was just that's a thought. I've had many, but as I say, it's just that thing of finding extra time to sit and embroider on something. And I feel bad, Ben, because I know we should all be contributing. So I'm sort of saying it with my tail between my legs that I should absolutely be taking on the next one fully and doing a beautiful presentation. But I know I'm not going to get it together just yet.
No, look, I've been, quite honestly, been a bit of sabbatical, and I've had the time to listen to podcasts and cull information from here and there and put together this thing. It's not something that's, if I had a very busy practice, I would really struggle to do. So I think it's a good idea to have. So perhaps you, Helen, you could start next. Was it a series of cases or and ideas, concepts? We bounce them off. And who else would like to bring cases, either for difficult cases or cases that worked, or cases that just show something a bit different, that, or dealing with different or difficult pathologies, something that we can just all learn from. So let's have a few more volunteers, and we can then create a nice session for May. a group session.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if it feels sort of too scrambled with everybody adding bits in, maybe we can have each person takes on sort of 20 minutes or half an hour. So it's sort of not, we can have 4 people present a case or chat about it or chat about a few things. You know, I feel like I could contribute and remind everybody, you know, a lot of the stuff, I think a lot of you brilliant homeopaths all know a lot of this stuff, but I've been redoing some of Mahesh's courses and sort of really found like I've just sort of had a few more insights, and then obviously you then pin it to some of your cases and you find breakthroughs. So I can share a bit, for example, on some more of the periodic table a little bit and some cases to go with that. Yeah, and I'm sure we're all doing that. You know, I've also just done Jonathan Hardy's birds, so I've got that in my head too. So I mean, and we can all just, you know, share this, because some of us, I also think like if some of us, it's so hard to pay for some of these webinars. They're all in euros and dollars, and so maybe if one of us is doing them, it's so nice to share it in this forum, and we're also learning. We can share information without obviously taking from, I don't mean to take away from, you know, I can't speak for another homeopath, but just to share some insights, you know, and not to detract from the value that they're actually trying to sell their courses. I need to, you know, be careful about that. But just to, yeah, a lot of that knowledge is still general, but we can embroider on it. Anyway, enough said. Yeah. We need to step on 22 minutes. We've got 8 to go.
All right, so great.
Anyway, over and out.
Joe, what about you? Got some sharing?
Yeah, I thought actually, I don't know if any of you attended the presentation that Kyle gave on superclasses. So I was thinking of, like, if Helen is saying, doing a 20-30 minutes of just talking about how I found superclasses helping in older cases that I've had in redirecting where I feel the remedy should come from, because I was in the completely wrong superclass.
Oh, great. Yeah, yeah. So I think this is really great, you know.
Amazing. Yes, Joe.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what we're doing is, yeah, we're not stealing the intellectual property of Kyle and Sankaran and Jonathan Hardy. We're applying their stuff, and we're putting it through our filters, through our experience, and then sharing that. And I think that's all above board. No problem with that. You know, we're not obviously going to bring their PowerPoints and slides and PDFs and whatever, but if they mention a point, we can also in normal academic kind of research work, we can quote them and just attribute it to them. Lauren, have you got something? You just popped up.
Sorry.
You popped up on
the dog pressed it. Sorry, but I do have a question.
Yes.
Unrelated, if that's okay.
Sure.
You know, I'm just qualified, and I'm learning so much from you guys, and I don't know which repertory you think is best to get. They're very expensive, and there's so many: Zomeo, Radar, Synthesis, but they seem quite necessary. So I just wanted to get your guys' idea of what you think is best to use.
Very difficult to get an objective view when you've got 2 people from SHS here.
Won't get one from me. No, from Joe. You have to ask some of the others.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got skin in the game.
Guys are that good, and you use that one, so
Yeah, we use synergy. Yeah, but you know, people use Radar and Zomeo. Everyone's got its value and benefits, but you know, it's not a forum for me to punt one or the other or anyone.
I think Fiona, if she's still here, Fiona Aronovitz. I don't know if you're still here, Fiona. But Fiona has a lot of experience with a few repertories. She can maybe give you some guidance as well.
I use a complete dynamics. And because when I came in, it was a startup. And due to my age and stage, I didn't want to spend too much. And so that's what I got. And then I also got the reference works. And that was converted to the SHS. So I must be honest with you, I use mainly my complete dynamics because that's what I'm so familiar with. He upgrades it the whole time. He is so, Edward van Grinsven, he is so pleasant to deal with. It's just an absolute pleasure. So that's what I'm used to. And thank God my results seem to be very nice. I'm very happy with that. But I think, I know now you can't buy a flat rate. I think it's per month. So that's, hello, am I talking?
Hi. No, Fiona, no, we're hearing you. Thanks
Fiona.
for the
Yeah,
input.
very helpful.
Lauren, one quick thing I would say though, it depends which sort of avenue also you want to be going, because and I'm not a rep, so I'm not biased, but if you are wanting to sort of work in the classical world and attend a lot of sort of webinars and speakers, the problem is a lot of them are working off the old, it used to be called Mac Repertory and is now SHS. So for me, I don't know, there's not many I've ever attended that are using anything else. So I would feel absolutely lost without SHS myself.
I actually agree
I'm just
with
adding
that.
that 2 cents worth.
No,
Because
very
Helen, because the SHS has got the repertory and reference works. My problem is that I just haven't, maybe it's just laziness or lack of time because of my other obligations, that I haven't really got into it. But I need to, because when my complete dynamics expires, I think I'm just going to stick to my SHS and reference works.
Also, Lauren, I just want to say that there are some videos, YouTube videos that you can watch on SHS to see how it works. Ben, I think you also got the link to that. Maybe, Lauren, I can just personally, I'll share some of the links with you just so you can get an idea of little videos of how it works. And then you need to just do some research on other repertories and just see what's available.
That's magnificent advice. Thanks so much, Dr. Rani. I really appreciate that. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, I just want to say thank you. That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. I hope that helps. Yeah, look around and look at the videos, look at the demos. You can sometimes get them. But Joanne is, you're in Johannesburg, so she's the person to, at least give you the one line, which will be the SHS line, and then you can look around at the other lines as well.
That sounds really good. Thank you.
What else? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So Angela in Hilton Howick, are you there?
She is here, Ben.
I see her. Yeah.
She hasn't been muted there.
There we go. I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Great. Yeah. Just wondering if you've got some cases or concepts or anything you'd like to share. I'm just trying to spread the net a bit wider than
I'd have to think about it. I don't really like public speaking too much.
just amongst friends. Yeah, it's really,
I'll have to pick up some coverage.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, if you think about it, it's all difficult cases or concepts or things that you've just been come to. So yeah,
Okay.
I think we're looking for a general go around, and it doesn't have to be a long story.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Thanks. Karen, Sigrid too, Sandra, Barty. Yeah, I'm just looking at the list of who's still here, but we can, yeah, Candice, yeah, Renee, yeah, we're all, Judith, Rinaldi. Just dip into your minds and your case books and see if there's something that you want, 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And, you know, I think we'll probably get Helen and Joanne. And Natalia's always got something interesting up her sleeve as well. And maybe she can respond to what we're raising. Yeah. And I might have a weird case or two or a strange thing to bring up. But I think we've managed to talk all our way to 8:30. So I think we
Thanks
must
so much, Ben.
pleasure. And I think been productive, and thanks everyone for attending. And let's keep the chat going on the WhatsApp group, and we'll meet again next month.
Thanks, Ben. Sure.
Pleasure.
Ben,
Ben
so
and
quickly,
everyone, bye.
there was a request for the recording. So if you are able